Fundamentals 14, changing grips versus rotating your wrist. Pros use different grips for different shots, forehand, backhand, slice, and serve. The different grips are described in terms of which bevel on the tennis racket handle the base knuckle of your index finger is on. The base knuckle is the one which connects your finger to your hand. So base knuckle. So here's your hand, and here's your index finger, and this is the base knuckle. There's two other knuckles, but the base knuckle is the one that connects your finger to your hand. The bevels, the 8 flats on the racket handle, are numbered starting from the bevel that is in line with one of the edges of the racket face, which is bevel 1. So if you got the racket and you've got the face of the racket and come straight down the face, straight down along the face here, this is bevel 1. For a right-handed player, if you are holding the racket straight out in front of you with bevel 1 up, bevel 2 is the first flat going around the handle to the right. Bevel 3 is the next flat, which is oriented the same as the face of the racket. Bevel 4 is the next one, and so on until you get to the last bevel, bevel 8. So again, here's the racket, bevel 1 on top in line with the face of the racket, going around to the right. I guess for a right-hander, that's the way to remember it. Going to the right, that's bevel 2. Bevel 3 here, that's the one that's essentially the face of the racket, bevel 3. Further around to the right, bevel 4. That's one I have my forehand grip on. Bevel 5 is the very bottom. It's the equivalent to bevel 1, the opposite to bevel 1, I should say. Bevel 6, bevel 7, and bevel 8. Right-handers, you generally don't talk about anything past bevel 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You rarely hear even somebody talking about bevel 5. That's a full Western grip. For a left-handed player, you count going to the left instead of going to the right. So that when you hear someone say bevel 3, you don't have to calculate it to be bevel 7. The equation is left-hand bevel equals 10 minus the right-hand bevel number. So you don't want to do the equation. So for a right-hander, you have the face of the racket, the edge of the racket here, lined up with bevel 1. You go to the right for a right-hander to number them. So bevel 2, around to the right, bevel 3, bevel 4, and bevel 5. For a left-hander, it's the same idea, except you start with the left-hander. You start with bevel 1 and go to the left. Bevel 2, bevel 3, bevel 4, bevel 5. In terms of the grip, I mentioned the index knuckle being on a particular bevel. So for example, the Eastern backhand, the index knuckle for the Eastern backhand is on bevel 1. If you look at where the heel of the hand is, that's rotated around one bevel, in this case, bevel 8. And that's true of all the grips. If you go around to the continental grip, where they have the index knuckle on bevel 2, the heel of the hand is on bevel 1. If you have the Eastern forehand, you have the index knuckle on bevel 3. The heel of the hand is on bevel 2. If you have the semi-Western forehand grip, index knuckle on bevel 4, heel of the hand on bevel 3. If you have the full Western grip, index knuckle on bevel 5, heel of the hand on bevel 4. In the old days of tennis, when most tennis was played on grass, the dominant grip was the continental grip. Index knuckle on bevel 2, heel of the hand on bevel 1. The continental grip worked well for all of the strokes because grass gives the ball a low bounce, and when the racket face is low to the ground, the continental grip gives you a vertical racket face at ball contact. So when you have low bounces and you're hitting the ball down here, you reach down for the racket, and the hand naturally, with the racket face vertical, the hand naturally ends up giving you the index knuckle on bevel 2. And that's the same thing for the backhand. If you're hitting the backhand, same thing. So here you go, you're going to hit a backhand out this way. You reach down, and there it is. There's the index knuckle on bevel 2. The advantage of using the continental grip for every kind of stroke is that you never have to change grips. With the introduction of hard courts, the ball bounce became higher, and using a continental grip for forehands and backhands off a medium bounce, say waist height, requires requires about a 45-degree wrist roll to make the racket face vertical, and that makes it very easy to mistime the wrist roll and ball contact, resulting in the ball going into the net, early ball arrival mistiming, or the ball going long, late ball arrival mistiming. If you have continental grip, again, index knuckle on bevel 2, and you hit a medium height bounce, and you go to hit a backhand up high, the racket face is pointing up. So you have to roll your wrist to get the racket face vertical. And of course, if you're rolling your wrist, you're rolling over, you're pronating, basically. And if you mistime it, if you think you're going to hit the ball here, but you hit it here, you hit the ball down. So for example, on the backhand, if you hit with the continental grip, index knuckle on bevel 2, and you go to hit it and you hit a low ball, you can see the racket face is vertical there. If you then try to hit a higher ball, you can see that the higher the ball, and I'm not changing my arm at all here. You can see that as I move my racket up to get the higher ball, the racket face goes from being vertical to being really pointing up high. So how do you fix that? Like that. So when you hit it, even though when the racket's here, it's face down, by the time you get out here and hit it, it's facing out towards your opponent. So forehand, same thing. You put the ball here, continental grip, and then try and hit it further up in the air. You can see that you're having the arms, I'm not changing my arm at all here. As I move my arm up, the racket face goes from vertical to open. The solution to ball timing errors was to change grips. By changing grips, you don't have to time your wrist roll with ball contact, but can keep the racket face vertical in the vicinity of ball contact because you achieve the 45-degree racket face turn with a grip change before swinging the racket. For the forehand, base knuckle, the index finger was moved one bevel to bevel 3, and this grip became known as the Eastern forehand grip. And for the predominant back end of the day, the one-hander, the base grip of the index finger was moved one bevel the other direction to bevel 1, and this grip became known as the Eastern backhand grip. So index knuckle on bevel 2, continental grip. For forehand, you change index knuckle on bevel 3. That's the Eastern forehand grip. Going from continental the other direction to bevel 1, index knuckle on bevel 1, that is the Eastern backhand grip. Even more recently, as the racket and string technology have improved, the result is an even higher bounce, say shoulder height. And this requires moving the base knuckle of the index finger one more bevel beforehand to bevel 4, which became known as a semi-western forehand grip. Playing on clay results in an even higher bounce than on hard courts, so some players move the base knuckle of the index finger to bevel 5, which results in a full western forehand grip. I think that's what Nadal uses, and that's why he's so good on clay. So if you, instead of going to the Eastern forehand grip, index knuckle on bevel 3, if you go one more to the right, you're on bevel 4, that's the semi-western forehand grip. And if you go around one more bevel to bevel 5, which is the opposite side, opposite to bevel 1, bevel 5, index knuckle, full western forehand grip. Each grip is best at a particular ball bounce height. But the farther the ball bounce height is from that height, the harder it is to hit a good shot. Continental grip is good for low bounces, okay for medium bounces, and poor for high bounces. So continental grip, again, you hit something with the continental grip low, then you can have the racket face vertical. If you then try and hit one that's high, the racket face starts to, I should say, medium high, the racket face starts to tilt. Try and hit one really high, look at the tilt on that, that's terrible. It's going to go long. The Eastern grips are okay for low bounces, good for medium bounces, and okay for high bounces. The semi-western grip is poor for low bounces, okay for medium bounces, and good for high bounces. Your choice of picking may have to do with what one feels better for you. Federer, it turns out, he hasn't gone to the semi-western. He's stayed at the Eastern grip, and he hits a forehand pretty good.